Going live?
Because like I say, I know Wayne and Chad aren't going to be here, so.
Okay.
We're ready.
All right, so I'm going to call the July 24th, 2023 meeting of the Town of Abingdon Planning Commission to order. Welcome to the Town of Abingdon, Virginia Planning Commission regular meeting. We appreciate your interest and we encourage public participation in our meeting. Your comments are important to our decision-making process. Please note that there will be opportunities during the meeting for you to address commission members. The first opportunity will come when we ask for public comment on items not on the agenda. The second opportunity will come if there's a public hearing on the agenda when the chairman declares the public hearing open for comment. Anyone who wishes to address the members of the commission, anyone addressing the commission will approach the podium, give your first and last name and your complete physical address. Comments must be limited to 3 minutes. One thing, we changed this from having the comments, public comment first, so we really ought to actually rewrite this first paragraph, because the paragraph itself doesn't say what I just said. It has the public comment after the public hearings, but some time ago, we actually put the public comment first, so.
Okay. We will make that arrangement.
Next order of business, a roll call. Okay.
Mr. Austin? Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Weaver?
Here.
Mr. Pennington? Mr. Sproles?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Here.
And Mr. Schuman?
Here. Next order of business is approval of the minutes, the regular meeting of June 26, 2023. Has everybody had the opportunity to review those minutes? Are there any corrections? Actually, I do have some corrections. There are 2 areas where in comment where my name's spelled wrong. It's the 2 that,
I see him.
you see it?
Yep.
Okay. Are there any other additions or corrections to the minutes? Is there a motion that the minutes be approved as amended?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any additional discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next order of business, certificate of appropriateness, special use permit. Tommy Schrader, 301 East Main Street, Abingdon, Virginia, 24210. Certificate of appropriateness for exterior changes located at 301 East Main Street, Abingdon, Virginia, 24210, parentheses, tax map 013-1-72. Staff report.
Yes, so you saw this project last month, so there's just a few extra requests, or they've changed some of their requests, so that's why they're able to come back to you here tonight. Some of the requests, or the different requests, would be proposed screening associated with proposed private outdoor kitchen space to be built in the same location as the existing 1-story frame rear addition. Replace all wooden clapboards with hardy plank, cedar mill textured lap siding, pre-finished gray. Restore the primary elevation's ornate woodwork and trim with custom milled wooden pieces to match existing, and demolish the 2nd-story rear bump out and alley side bump out. And then I've also included the decision letters, the COAs, and the previous staff report in your packets there, just to show you what you guys saw last month.
Okay. Now, as I understand it, the one significant difference in what we approved and what they're asking for is the siding. Is that correct? Because what we had a decision about the siding. They came back with a request to amend that, and then the addition is where we were last time. There's this issue about what the screening should be.
Yes.
Am I correct on that?
Yes, they came back last month. They proposed LP lap siding. The board said it had to be wood siding, like materials. They have come back with a different request and said it was the hardy plank, cedar mill. So that's their new siding that they're looking to do. And then they're coming back just because they've come back with the different options for the screening of the metal screens that were there.
Okay.
So,
Is there somebody here who wants to?
Good evening, TJ Pruitt, Twin Enterprise, 1515 Second Street, Richlands, Virginia. So when this was brought to the Planning Commission before, it was more stated that the way that it was portrayed to the board was just for the siding just to be tore off and redone, just because they wanted to go to LP versus the wood siding. Reason for that is for the rot on the building itself, and because of the additions that was made to the building. I really don't know exactly when those additions were made, but all those additions would be demoed. So the back half of the building, by the time you pull off all those additions, we're gonna have to re-side in the back anyways. So the alley side, which I believe is the east side, that side has also got the majority of the rot, and there is a couple additions on that east side. So to be able to fix that the correct way, we're gonna have to re-side that side also. Now, the west side, which is on the street side, it is actually only about 60% rotted, is kind of what our estimations. I attached a picture to where it's right up above the doors, probably 12, 16 inches above the doors, is from the bottom up that far is gonna have to be replaced. A lot of those places on that side, it is actually protruding out, and water is actually going in behind that siding now, as it is, to the substrate. The front of the building, the wood accents that's on the front of the building, the owner loves the looks of the front of the building. So every bit of that would be milled at Appalachian Millworks and Cabinetry that are going to make every bit of that front, just reconstruct that is what we're looking for with wood, and try to make that look as original as we can, like for like on that. And we have proposed doing the Hardy Cedar Mill siding. It is used a lot of times with the historical side of it. You can do different laps as far as the owner's concerned. The lap really doesn't matter on what lap that we can actually use, whether it's a 4-inch lap. That's kind of what you see more traditional for the historical side, is the 4-inch lap, or all the way up to like a 6 and an 8-inch lap. So that's the what we're trying to propose to the board, is try to get that replaced to where we can get that fixed back. Now, if you flip back, go towards the back on the screening, the screen was misrepresented of what it looked like, that they were only trying to show one option. As far as the screen goes, these are all the options that we have, and there's actually a lot more from that. So we wanted to try to give a few more options to you, to where you could look at kind of what we had. I think the last picture, it almost looked like butterflies. That was misrepresented of what we're actually looking for in that. Just trying to do some kind of privacy screening for that.
Why did you change from LP siding to the hardy board?
So if you look in the, we got online and looked at the section, let's look back here. I think it's section 3-63 for standards and procedures, Town of Abingdon. It actually says wood framing, and then in parentheses, or fiber cement board would be an approval. That's the reason why that we went with the fiber cement board, is to try, that was something that was in the code section for the Town of Abingdon. So that's the reason why we switched to that.
Typically, I think the hardy plank is like 5/16 of an inch thick,
Mm-hmm.
whereas the LP siding is like an old, kind of a beveled piece like the old wood siding.
Right.
I think if you went with the LP siding, you could match the shadow lines of the existing, but if the plank is only 5/16 inch thick and not beveled, it's going to give a different look, I think.
It will give it a different look. And that, with the LP siding, honestly, if you put LP and hardy together, a lot of times it looks a lot the same. But hardy siding, you are able to get a little bit of a smaller lap, to where it gives it that more historical look to it.
Now, I think that this type of thing has been approved in the OH district previously. If I'm not mistaken, that's what's on this white building down here at the end of the alley. Is that the new, where they built that new building? Isn't that the same thing as this?
That I'm not sure about if it's new, but this is an historic building. That's a newer building, so they could have showed some
Doesn't
discretion.
Rain have hardy plank on it?
It does.
I think it does. I mean, it's a newer building.
Yeah, I think
Still,
it's
it's right across the
yeah.
street.
But you want to maintain the front as is.
As is.
Go back
That's-
in wood
yes.
and the side opposite Rain.
Yes.
I mean, as far as the hardy board, I understand that it's permitted. It's just, given the historic nature of this building, it's been the policy, so to speak, and this is my opinion. You go back with, you know, what was there. And I understand the regulations, but anything that would be visible, what's the primary difference? For example, on the side with Rain, you've got 60% that you've denoted that.
It's going to have to be removed from that. If you look at that, the yellow line, the best way to do it is just almost do a highlighted line there. It's somewhere in the neighborhood. I didn't actually put a tape right to it, but it's around the 12 to 16 inches above that door. That is, it's pretty considerable rot that is on that side.
So if you have wood siding above that and hardy plank, isn't there gonna be an obvious,
Yes, so
Distinction.
that's why that we're requesting to remove that siding with the on that whole side right
The
there.
whole side.
We're not gonna mix hardy and wood plank. There's just, you're exactly right. There's no way that you could do that and make it blend. There's just no way of making that match. On the front, the way that we've proposed it to the owner, on the front, we will actually bring that wood siding. It was questioned, I think, with a couple different people, how you would transition from that wood on the front of the building to the hardy. What we would probably do on the front side is bring that wood over, the wood trim on over, and then let that hardy die into the back of it. And I don't think you would ever, you wouldn't be able to see the difference in that, because the front side of that is majority of just wood accents is what that
doesn't have,
is.
it has corner pieces, doesn't it?
It does, it does.
So that would separate.
That would separate it, yes, it would.
I'm gonna suggest that what we do here is do this in two parts and deal with the siding in one part, and then deal with the, what we would do on the back in a separate.
Yeah.
I just think that would make it easier. You know,
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, I thought we had kind of already settled this, under the prior. I understand, I would like anything, given the historic nature, of the building, anything abutting the street, to go back with what's there. And, you know, I understand on the back and in the side towards the log cabin, you know, entertaining something else. But just given the contributing nature of this building to that area, and I appreciate, just like Mr. Wilson has stated, the building across the street. But if we keep changing the character of these buildings, then sooner rather than later, there's not gonna be anything there, you know, that reflects the
Okay.
historic nature of it. If that would be agreeable to Mr. Schrader, then the front and the
West.
west side of the building be wood, go back like for like, because he's keeping all the windows, everything of that nature the same.
Right.
And then on the back, and then on the side, the east side, then hardy board.
Okay.
Would be my recommendation.
Do you have a comment on that? I mean,
I don't really have the authority to make that decision. I'd have to take that to Tommy, Mr. Schrader. I'd have to take that to him and just see what he says with that.
Well, and actually, you know, where we were last time was all wood
Right, right.
around, and I understand.
Right.
I do. It's just, given the nature of this building and that the whole area, we're actually trying to expand over time. But we need to protect what we can protect. So that would be my recommendation, if he would be agreeable to that.
Okay.
If not, then, you know, come back. But again, I thought we had already acted upon this
well,
the last time.
I think we had. I think in the submission, what they came back with is the fact that, you know, how bad the rot was both on the street side and behind and
Well,
on the
and-
other
and
side. So I
yes,
think
sir.
that's why they're.
And I'm not diminishing that in any way, shape, or form. But if this was any other historic structure, the deterioration on the exterior, I don't want to say doesn't matter. You go back like for like.
So the reason why, and to kind of clarify that just a little bit, one of the reasons why that we tried to come back with something different is just to fit the code section the way that we could.
Yes, sir.
And then try to represent how bad the rot was. I felt like that was very misrepresented in the last meeting. So that's why I tried to do a little bit more homework and bring that to you guys and, you know, show how bad that was.
I got a dumb question, but if on the rain side, the 40% that's not rotted, is it reusable on the other side to reduce the cost, or is it just old
By-
and no good?
By the time you start pulling, trying to pull nails and trying to pull the boards, honestly,
Really not.
the paint's not real good on there right now, and it's really dried out. So a lot of times when you start pulling that wood like that, it's just gonna splinter.
Splinter,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It's gonna be really hard to rehab that.
You're
Other
replacing-
questions?
You're replacing the shutters too, is that correct?
Yes, and those shutters will be wood like what's there. Try to restore the character to
And
that.
see,
They'll be operable.
I had not really went down to that. I mean,
Yeah,
we
the
can make
National Park Service, which is what our historic guidelines are based upon, requires operable.
Okay.
And I've run into that a
Okay.
lot of times where in another town, I wanted wood shutters and the owner didn't want to do it. And so I relented to do composite shutters and paint them. And the historic board said, no, they
Yeah.
would. So those are what I call lick and stick shutters, and they're just not approved by the National Park Service in their historical guidelines.
Sure.
And because we are trying to move the historical preservation boundary across the street, and that would be within the district, kind of like to see you do that.
and that's one of the things that I keep going back. I certainly understand and appreciate Mr. Schrader's, you know, but a compromise, you know, maybe, you've already said everything on the front is gonna be maintained wood, all the shutters are gonna be maintained wood, the windows are going back, they're being refurbished just exactly like they are, which is preserving pretty much everything that you see, historic nature. You know, the only thing we're talking about is the 60% below.
Yes.
So my suggestion would be maintain those two areas in wood, and then the back and the east side, hardboard.
Okay. I'll take that to you.
Well,
Is that a motion?
yeah, we gotta.
Slow down.
We gotta do something for you to take back.
If it is, I'll
Is
second.
that what you wanna make that in the form of a motion?
I'm not sure I could say it any better than what I just said, so,
Is that,
Gabe, can you make a motion out of that?
Yeah, so if I understand it correctly, I'll just repeat it here. You're motioning to have the primary elevation and the west elevation restored with like-for-like materials, wood for wood, And then the rear and west elevations can be hardy
Yes.
board,
As
Part-
submitted.
as submitted.
Yep.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any additional discussion or questions?
No, the only reason, again, with everything that you all are already doing, with the shutters, the front, that ties everything into wood, and it maintains the historic nature, pretty much from what you can see.
Okay.
All right, any additional questions? If not, Gabe, if you would call the roll.
Sure. Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Mr. Sproles?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
And Mr. Schuman?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, the next step, I think, we've dealt with the back except for these metal pieces, and you've given us a number of different options. So I guess the question is, for the commission, is one of those preferable?
I don't think we can be in the design business.
Yeah, I don't think we need to dictate, we just know that's the material, it's gonna be some pattern. Yeah, if anybody has an objection to one of those patterns specifically, I think then you could say something, but the concept seems sound to me.
Yeah, I think,
I mean, it's had that lattice work there for years, and that doesn't look any good, and those look way better.
yeah,
Correct. The roof on the rear structure, standing seam, no striations.
Yes.
You're gonna match.
Yes. What's
Okay.
above
yeah,
that?
and that was, we dealt, again, that was, I think, dealt with last time.
It was.
Oh,
It was
okay.
dealt with.
So,
Okay, well,
so the only
excuse me.
question was, what those panels would look like. And there was some question last time, I think, as you stated, that there was only one option, and,
I think that if you flip back, that's got the two privacy panels there. The one with the tables almost looks like, I think it was actually made mention that it looked like butterflies or something. That was the only picture that was attached
Right.
before. So really, I don't think that he's really made a decision on these, but this is something, and he actually told me that he was not going to go with anything super contemporary. So it's going to be something that's a little bit, it's more for privacy than anything else. That's all
And
it's
and in
for.
that regard, if you look at these panels, you would probably want one that's more opaque than open.
Yes, yes.
So I don't think we ought to really be.
No, that's
I
his
don't-
call, but certainly would appreciate him taking the rest of the structure into consideration.
Right.
You know, but I think that's, the applicant's call, the
Okay.
owner's call.
so would there be a motion to say that any of these submitted would be acceptable? I mean, that seems to be what we're saying.
Yeah.
I'll move so that we accept
Any of
anything
the,
from those that were submitted.
okay, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay. Any additional discussion, questions?
And refresh my memory relative to the bottom exterior of the structure.
Um,
And then-
Stone.
Stone?
Stone.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Stone
Forgive
with
me,
a.
I'm old.
No, yeah, that's fine, that's fine. Stone with a, like a stone cap on top of it, because that will be a little bit of a wall there, so we'll put a stone cap, and then these will run down to the top of that stone cap.
Okay.
And the existing
Any
roof is going to
additional-
be painted?
I'm sorry.
The existing roof is going to be painted, is that correct?
No, we were gonna leave that existing roof. There was no, they actually had a roofing company go up there. The roof is in great shape. So we were gonna leave the roof as is and just match standing seam below.
So it'll stay brown.
Yes. The pictures didn't really do that justice on the plans that were submitted. They were different colors.
Just make sure on the roof it is a true standing seam, no
Yes.
striations.
Yes.
Okay.
Any-
If I may interject, if you want to combine that, if you want to make another motion, or we can do a separate one just for the demolishing of the second-story rear bump out and alley side bump out, that is something new that wasn't approved at last month's meeting, that you should approve at this meeting. So if you want to make another
If I can
motion.
amend my motion, I would amend to add the removal of those bump outs to be approved.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Weaver?
All right,
Mr. Sproles?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
And Mr. Schuman?
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so
I got
much.
one question. I've been driving by this building for 30 years. Go back, can you go back to the first slide?
First one? Yep.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, there you go.
This one?
Yeah. The one shutter is shorter than the rest, and it bothers me. Please fix that.
We had a good discussion about that within the company. We tried figuring out why that was, and there is no explanation to why that shutter is shorter than the
That's
other
bizarre.
ones.
It's one of those things, once you see it, it'll bother you the rest of your life.
Only if you're an engineer.
That's true.
I don't think I've ever noticed that.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right. Next order of business is a certificate of appropriateness, Herbal Care Plus LLC, 535 Cumming Street, Abingdon, Virginia, 24210. Certificate of appropriateness for change of paint scheme located at 350 West Main Street, Abingdon, Virginia, 24210, parentheses, tax map 105-6-26A, in parentheses. Staff report.
Yes, so Herbal Care Plus LLC has requested approval of an entrance quarter certificate of appropriateness for changing the exterior paint scheme located at 535 Cumming Street. The property is within the General Business District, or B2. Some background: before Herbal Care Plus LLC occupied the structure located at 535 Cumming Street, the structure operated as a Pizza Hut. The once existing paint scheme was light tan walls and a red roof. Staff contacted the applicant upon seeing the structure's building envelope had been painted various shades of dark green without first receiving approval from the Planning Commission. When discussing the topic, the applicant stated they were unaware of being in a special overlay zone and the need for review by a board before undertaking changes to the exterior of a structure or overall site. The applicant proposes painting the structure's building envelope various shades of dark green, as seen in the pictures I've put in your report. As seen in the included photos, the existing Pizza Hut exterior paint scheme consisted of light tan walls and a red roof.
So the painting's already been done, right?
Yes, the painting's already been done. Yeah.
so what if we all do that?
My name's Joseph Horn. I'm the general manager for all of our locations that we have.
If you would state your full name and your address for the Planning Commission, please.
My personal address?
Well, no, the business address is fine.
Our main location is actually 197 South Ridgeview Road, Southwest, Wise, Virginia. My name is Joseph Blake Horn, and I am the general manager for all 4 of our locations.
Okay.
So.
Oh, the floor is yours.
So first, my owner is a guy who does things in the county and does not, he just does things. I'm sorry. I apologize for their just doing that. I don't think that they thought about you guys at all. But I do feel like they're fairly neutral tones that don't do it, any disservices. It made it appear a little.
It's perfect color for what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, and of course, it's better than a red roof.
Yeah.
Man, that's one thing, we did ask for we've gotten a couple of quotes to get the roof repaired on the place. I think it's gonna stay the same, but in the back end of that building, you'd think we had a water feature when it rains, so it's seen better days.
So you would be repairing the roof, but it would be the same color?
As I understand it, yes, that roof will appear exactly as it is. It's just gonna not have leaks anymore, so.
Other questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the COA as submitted, with the existing colors, the green exterior and the roof being painted in its current color. If that color changes, then come back to us.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay. Any additional discussion? If not, Gabe, if you would call the roll.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Weaver?
Aye.
Mr. Sproles?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
And Mr. Schuman?
One thing, just if you do decide to have any signage on that building, then that would have to be approved by the planning commission.
We'll be coming back for that soon, so.
Well, and just, the staff is excellent at
Yep.
answering any questions. If there's, whenever it's signage or anything with the exterior, just give them a call. It's different. Abington is different from Wise.
Yeah.
Like,
We,
so-
we have a sign company who's supposed to be taking care of everything for us on that end, so they should be in contact with you
Like I
guys
say, just
sometimes.
make sure that that happens.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good evening.
All right, the next thing is old business matters not on the agenda.
Nothing really for you, just as we spoke another time, in August, you'll be before you the zoning map amendment for expanding the OH district, so you'll see that at your next month's meeting, as we discussed last month. So
Mhm.
it'll be going before the HBRB August 2nd, and then it'll come to you, and then planning commission after you, if you guys so deem to approve it.
Now, at the last meeting, we were handed out a suggestion for how to deal with signage within a window.
Mhm.
Is that something we need to follow up on, or should we do it next time?
That'll probably be in August too, probably good to, with my aunt and I here, probably a good thing when we're all here too. Just everybody's comments with Mr. Austin being out and Mr. Penton being out, maybe it'd be better for all of us next month to revisit it.
That would be
This way we
fine.
get everybody's comments instead of doing this and then getting theirs at a later date.
And the other thing I'd ask, is there any update on the building with the mural? Anything?
We have not received any further correspondence to my knowledge, so it's in a standstill at this point. It's where, whatever you guys decided at the last meeting, that's where it stands, and we have not received any further correspondence to my knowledge on that, so.
Any other questions, comments? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.